This interview from Newstalk 103.7 FM. This audio highlight is sponsored by T&B Cleaning. Get up to 3 rooms or up to 750 square feet, steam cleaned, furniture moved within reason, all for $100. Pause this interview and book T&B Cleaning, 729-2974, 729-2974.
I'm Ryan Hedrick, and welcome to the Tri-State Business Report here on the Tri-State's Newstalk 103.7 FM. And on this week's Tri-State Business Report, we talked to the Vice President of East Coast Real Estate Group, LLC, located in Hagerstown. His name is Tom Tinsley. Tom is a licensed real estate agent in Maryland as well as West Virginia. Tom, thank you for joining us on the Tri-State Business Report. Hello.
Hello, and thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to chat with me today. Greatly appreciated.
Yeah, I'd say the same thing about you. Let's talk about your career, because you spent over 25 years managing sales teams at Fortune 100 companies. How is this a little bit different, or is it similar to some of the experiences you've had in the past professionally?
Very similar. It's running a business. Like you mentioned, I've been a very successful sales manager, really longer than I want to admit. It starts to date me. But, the experiences and training that I was provided in corporate America has transitioned very well into being an entrepreneur and running a successful company as far as client service, processes, interacting with the teams and recruiting and hiring and training. And it actually has transitioned very well. I'm very thankful for all of the training that I received from those companies.
In terms of turning that training on to other people and allowing them to really shine and bringing out the best in them, would you rather have somebody come to you that's fresh and new in the business, or would you rather have somebody with a lot of experience that can relate to the industry and knows what the industry is all about?
For this particular business, experience is very, very important. It is truly a complex business in managing real estate, managing investments for all different kinds of landlords, sometimes first-time landlords, accidental landlords, investors with some experience or investors with a ton of experience. And then all of the legalities that go into this business and the people interactions with our tenants. So for this one, to answer your question, I definitely prefer experience. We have hired an experienced team, and they have transitioned into our company and processes very well.
Now, this is a property management company, East Coast Real Estate Group, LLC, and I want to turn you on to their website right now. It's ecreg.com. You could learn about what they have to offer. You could learn about what they do. In terms of the current rental climate, what challenges are we facing, Tom, and what types of things are going into now renting an apartment to somebody when so many people don't have jobs?
I think for everyone, the last few months have been extremely challenging. For me professionally, it has created a ton of different challenges with our team, how we interact during COVID with people. Our owners have had all new challenges that are unprecedented, and we have worked very diligently to do our best to help them. Our tenants, as you mentioned, many are, the unemployment rate is extremely high. I think it may have hit an all-time high, or, it was extremely high. And so we have, challenges there, and then also with vendors. And I'll get more specific about each one, but to kind of start, it's been a ton of challenges in the last few months. And so I'll kind of start with the tenants. You did ask that question specifically. So, there was is a 120-day national eviction moratorium to help ensure that people are not evicted during these unprecedented times. As it is today locally, that is still in place until the end of July. So we have not communicated with tenants about, rent being late or pursued any type of evictions. We are complying, as always, with all of the local laws, and they have been able to, if they're in one of those circumstances, not have to worry about losing their place of residence while they work to, whatever the circumstances is, work to get unemployment, work to find another job, whatever the circumstances are, they've had the time to do that.
Now, for the property owners, the people that have to pay, the mortgage on the building, what type of bind does that put them in? Is there some type of moratorium with the bank that property owners have an agreement with, that if they're not getting their money back, if they're not getting their rent, that they can make back payments? I mean, doesn't it all come kind of falling, crashing down when people aren't making payments? What challenges are presented there?
Absolutely. It is, again, it's an unprecedented situation and legislation. And so, the answer is kind of different for each owner, mostly based on the type of loan that they have. If they have a federally backed loan, and there are some specifics, but if they have a federally backed loan, then the direction from the government to those mortgage companies was to give up to, I believe, a 90-day mortgage forbearance, which would, basically allow them to not pay it at that time, and then, work with them to figure out repayment, whether it's tacking it on at the end of that loan or, some kind of payment plan that they agree upon together. But it did not apply to all mortgage loans. So there are absolutely owners that are responsible for those mortgages and would face foreclosure if they are not able to pay those. And, so again, all of that was in that 800-page document. So we really went in, dissected it, made sure that we shared that information with owners who, some of them are not doing this full time like myself and don't have the time to read that document. So, we got it out to them as soon as possible and then answered the questions that came in afterwards.
How many properties does East Coast Real Estate Group manage?
So we currently manage around 200 properties. Our current geography for our property management services is Frederick, Washington, and Berkeley counties in Maryland and West Virginia.
And of those properties, how many do you feel will be stressed by the current moratorium? Is everybody affected, every one of these properties? Is there anybody that's not affected?
There are absolutely lots of individuals that have not been affected. And, I really want to say that I'm actually very thankful, to, the vast majority of our tenants that have made a conscious effort through challenging times to pay their rent on time or, maybe a little bit late. We have experienced a slight increase of about 5% over normal in back rent owed. But again, the large majority of residents in these counties made their rent payment a priority and are current. And I genuinely thank them for that.
We're talking to Tom Tinsley. Tom is the Vice President of East Coast Real Estate Group, LLC, located in Hagerstown, Maryland. They manage over 200 properties, and Tom has nearly 30 years of managing successful sales teams, a great entrepreneur, and we're thrilled he's on the air with us here at the Tri-State's Newstalk 103.7 FM for the Tri-State Business Report. When we come back, more with Tom right here on the Tri-State's Newstalk 103.7 FM. And welcome back to the Tri-State Business Report here on the Tri-State's Newstalk 103.7 FM. We talk business casually every weekend. And just a reminder, if you would like to appear on the Tri-State Business Report, simply get in touch with us at newstalk1037fm.com. Go to the homepage, fill out a form. It literally takes 15 seconds, and you could be talking business with us casually on the weekends. Our guest comes courtesy of the Washington County Chamber of Commerce. Be in touch with the CEO Paul Fry there. His name is Tom Tinsley. Tom is a longtime entrepreneur, a sales professional with nearly 30 years of sales experience, and he runs East Coast Real Estate Group. Tom, why don't you give us an overview of who East Coast Real Estate Group LLC is and what your mission statement is?
Yes, sir. That's a great question. Our mission is to provide world-class property management for the property owners and tenants that we work with. And one quote that has stuck out to me during my career is Steve Jobs' one that says, you've got to start with the customer experience and work back towards the technology. And that sticks with me, and I really think about that every day as I make decisions.
What example would you give if somebody says, well, world-class property management services is a big deal? What example would you cite, like a recent example where you guys have given that world-class service?
So absolutely. I'm going to kind of start with a little bit of the overview of us. I think that we really focus on some key things that I'm going to mention to deliver that. So, first, our real estate solutions team members have over 50 years of real estate experience, and it includes managing rental portfolios from 1 to 100 units, actually owning our own rentals to have that real life experience. We have a ton of experience in rehabbing properties, and we have investor-friendly licensed agents on our team that can assist with buying and selling real estate in West Virginia, Maryland, Pennsylvania, and Virginia. To further some of our memberships and accolades, we are members of the National Association of Residential Property Managers, the National Association of Realtors. We are accredited with the Better Business Bureau with an A+ rating, and we currently have a 4.7 out of 5-star rating online with 200 plus reviews and counting. And that means the world to me. Those reviews from tenants, owners, vendors, potential tenants, potential owners that we've worked with that took the time out of their life to provide us positive feedback. And, our goal is to basically do everything for the owners so that they can focus on other things and let a professional property management company manage their properties. You mentioned recently, what have you done recently as an example of that? And I'll tell you, when COVID first hit, the lockdown started, the entire world changed. And, so we're no different. But we had a very short runway to figure out how to provide this type of service almost overnight. And so after a few consecutive sleepless nights, or at least limited sleep, we were able to launch our social distancing property management. And I'll just briefly go through it so that people understand how we're able to execute right now in the current environment at a high level. So the first thing that we would do is have virtual new owner meetings, via Skype, FaceTime, WhatsApp, whatever they have. If they're interested in working with us, we are able to send them an electronic owner's agreement for them to review and sign. When it gets to listings, we not only have photos, but we have full video listings and are on all of the major sites, including Zillow, which is now a paid service for us. We had automated self-showing for pre-screened potential tenants. We do still have some in person, but we do also have the ability to offer automated self-showings for those that are interested in that. If they are interested in the unit, then we have an electronic application process as well as electronic lease signing. We can collect the security deposits and all rent payment remotely and online. We created a new process for virtual move-in and move-out inspections. Lastly, as a need that we saw in the market for landlords and investors that don't want that personal interaction with people, we have offered a lease-only service. So we can help them right now and help them get their units filled with a qualified tenant and then turn the property back over to them so that they don't have to have those human interactions right now.
What type of work goes into acquiring a property when you're looking at that aspect of your business, and what type of standards do you use for acquiring a property?
We do have a diverse portfolio based on the geography that we work in, being Frederick County, Washington County, Berkeley County, and then different owners that are in different situations. Our experience allows us to help them in any situation that they have, whether the property needs a full rehab, whether the property needs a detailed punch list to be completed to pass the city or county inspections. If they have a rent-ready rent-ready unit and just need a tenant, as long as the owners understand what it's going to cost and entail to get their units to be rent-ready, safe, pass the needed inspections, we'll work with them under any circumstances, but there's definitely a conversation that has to happen to set some realistic expectations, make sure they're able to fund what's needed, and then we'll pretty much take on any of them to help the owners.
Interesting that you say rent ready. When you say those words, what does that mean to you? What is it by law, and what is your definition of rent ready?
Take Hagerstown, for example. Every 4 years, there's a required city inspection that has to happen. So the first thing that we'll do is we'll go and we'll look and we'll partner with them and say, hey, we're taking over this property, and any issues, any notices, any violations, anything we need to be aware of. So we'll start the relationship around this property right up front, and then we'll go to the property, go through basically their checklist, make sure it's safe. Safety is the number one priority in this conversation, and make sure from what we can visibly see and check that there are no safety issues. Then we'll schedule that city inspection. If everything is good to go, then we're good to go. If not, then we will receive a list of items that have to be addressed. We'll correct them, and then there will be a re-inspection. So it's a very long answer to that question in a checklist format. But the number one priorities are safety and functionality of the unit as it's expected to be.
The Tri-State Business Report with Tom Tinsley. He is the vice president of a local real estate group called East Coast Real Estate Group, LLC, and they're located right in Hagerstown. I encourage you to go to their website. Lots of information, lots of good stuff, including you can meet his team if you go to the website, ecreg.com. And they do have 24/7 online portal access, part of that world-class service that Tom was referring to. Tom, when we get out of this current state we're in, when we get out of the COVID-19 pandemic and the restrictions are lifted, what will your world look like? How much work is there to do to catch up and get people up to speed and get people caught up, at least financially?
I'll start with my team because I give them the credit for our service levels. They interact with a lot more people than I do on a daily basis. But, we had decisions to make when all this started about the team members. And, we get paid as a percentage of rent collected. So if there's no rent coming in, there's no income coming in for the company. So obviously, a few months ago, that was a very, very hot topic. But long story short, we made the decision to keep our team in place no matter what. And because I know that when this, to your point, when this is over, we've got to run, back to normal. And I can't do it without my team. I cannot. So we have kept everyone on board, and actually we've hired. We actually added an additional part-time bookkeeper and are interviewing for a part-time property manager assistant now. So from a company standpoint, we're going to be in a very good spot for growth and to manage anything that comes up. Maybe to get a little bit more specific, it's going to be on an individual basis with the owners and their situations and decisions that they have to make. If they were able to, get through this time financially, and we can help them no matter what direction they go, whether they continue to have it as an investment or if they're interested in selling. I can help them with that as well. And then, tenants, it's going to be the same thing on a one-on-one basis. Like I said, most have paid, and we are so thankful for them for making this a priority. And for the ones that have not, we will follow the federal and local laws and work with them accordingly.
All right, Tom, thank you so much for your time. One more time, why don't you let everybody know the website and the phone number they could get in touch with East Coast Real Estate Group, LLC.
Main phone number is 240-397-5686, and that will take you to any department within our company that you would like to interact with. You can also be reached at support@ecreg.com via email. And then our website is our initials, ecreg.com.
You have been listening to the Tri-State Business Report here on the Tri-State's Newstalk 103.7 FM. If you missed any part of this interview, you could go to our SoundCloud account or go to newstalk1037fm.com to download the audio on demand. And if you want to be on the Tri-State Business Report, simply head to newstalk1037fm.com, fill out a form. It takes a few seconds, and if all works out, you could be talking business casually with us right here on the Tri-State's Newstalk 103.7 FM.
Thanks for clicking on this interview.